Our next speaker is Toni Van Pelt. Who doesn't know Toni in this room? Okay, she was known in Washington, D.C. as an advocate of secular movement. She was the public policy director and made quite an impression there. She has been to the United Nations conventions to eliminate discrimination against women. She is a dynamo in women's rights and all the issues of our institute. We thank her for putting this wonderful conference together. I want to say more about her, just one more minute. Toni is a co-founder, the public policy director, and congressional lobbyist for the Institute for Science and Human Values, that's ISHV. As former vice president and initial public policy director of the Center for Inquiry, she organized and directed one of the first public policy offices of secular humanist movement in Washington, D.C., focusing on importance of science, separation of church and state, women's and LGBT's rights. She continues this work with the Institute. She regularly presents on a variety of issues, including how to effectively participate in American government as a citizen, how to lobby state legislators, ethics in scientific community, alternative and complementary medicines, the United Nations Convention to Eliminate Discrimination Against Women and Women's Rights. She is a longtime feminist activist serving on many national organizations for women, boards, and committees since 1989. She serves as a board member at large for Institute for Humanist Studies. Who doesn't know Toni in this room?
Thank you very much, Saroja. That was a wonderful opening, a wonderful introduction, and I really appreciate it. I want to begin by saying that Paul Kurtz is the founder, the leading visionary of the Institute for Science and Human Values, and he died in October of 2012, but one of the things that Paul always did before he gave his talk is to ask everybody in the room to stand up, please, and hug each other, because that's a good way to advance the secular humanist cause. So if we will all do that. Okay, I knew that was a risk. You all have to sit down now. I know you've been sitting all day. We're going to eat lunch as soon as I'm through. So around about 2008 and 2009, Paul started to see in the United States and in the world that people were moving away from his lifelong philosophy of secular humanism and being for something as opposed to against something. And I know that you all are aware of the fact that I'm talking about the new atheism. You know, the books came out, the Four Horsemen came out, and a movement began let's call it the far left, that we're atheists, we're out and we're proud, we're going to have parades in the street, and we're marginalized, we're a minority, and we want your attention, and we want you to treat us properly. This is something that I am for, okay? And we had that first Godless March. Because in a movement, I think you have to have a variety of tactics, as Noreen Connell in the back of the room, my former fellow national board member on the National Organization for Women is here, will tell you. We did plenty of marches on DC and many things to advance women. But it went to a very extreme position. And it's not the only tactic that can be moved. And I think that Paul was really concerned because it was affecting the Center for Inquiry. And Paul had written for many, many years in the editorial pages of Free Inquiry about secular humanism from his point of view, which is very progressive and planetary and forward-thinking. And so he wrote in 2009 the Neo-Humanist Statement of Secular Principles and Values, Personal, Progressive, and Planetary. So they are on in the entire statement is on our website. There are summaries in the back of the room. He drafted this, and over 100 people, scientists and Nobel Prize winners and so on, and me, signed the statement in support. And if anybody wants to sign, you can still do that, and we have the names on the website. So this became the founding document of the Institute for Science and Human Values, which we started in 2010 when Paul was, his relationship was severed from the Center for Inquiry. I would just like to take a moment to introduce our board members. And I'd like to start with Stu, wherever you are. Stu Jordan, who's our immediate past president, the first president of the Institute. And then I will say that two of our members are absent, and one is Jonathan Kurtz, who's Paul's son, and the president of Prometheus Books. He couldn't be here. And Vince Parr, it's a shame Vince couldn't be here, who is our vice president. And the three of us, Paul and Vince and myself, actually started the Institute. And then, thank you. We have Saroja, who has been on our board since day one, and Bob Tapp, Robert Tapp. Will you stand up, Bob? Well, everybody knows you, but please stand. Okay. And then we welcome our new board members this year, Sam Alangavan and DJ Grothy in the back of the room. So thank you all. You are a wonderful board. So, saying that, I also want to recognize that we have in the room two extraordinary, seasoned, very professional volunteers that work with the Institute, and we really couldn't do the work we do without their help. And one of them is Charles Muir. Charles, as you know, is the editor of Human Prospect. And the other is this fabulous woman in the back of the room, Marcia Cohen. Marcia, would you please stand? Marcia practices law here in the United States and also in France. She is our pro bono attorney, and she has been since the start of the Institute. She does wonderful work for us in many areas, and one of the most important things that she does, I think, is she works in coalition with other attorneys in Washington, D.C., working on our issues. There is a group of attorneys in these different coalitions that get together, that dissect language of law, put forward new language, and help us just write and bring down the most important points that we need to pass on to our community to help participate in the democratic process. So those are, and I have to mention my partner, Jack. Jack Van Pelt is our webmaster, and he has done our website since day one, and actually we couldn't do anything without Jack. No, he's not here. He's at home taking care of the babies. So we're very lucky, and our mission is to test knowledge by science and reason and to develop ethical values without religious foundations relative to the human condition, as given to us by Paul Kurtz. And how do we do that? So we do that in three broad areas. One is, a big area is education. And as far as education is concerned, the symposia that we put on, we share the information at these symposiums. You know that we have, this is being taped. This will be available for free on YouTube and on our website. So, because there were so many people that asked that couldn't attend, that wanted to know if we were going to be doing that or live streaming. Well, we're not ready for the live streaming stuff yet. So we give talks. If we're asked to give talks, we do presentations. And secondly, I lobby. I'm the public policy director, and I lobby in Washington, D.C. I still lobby. I live in Florida. When I leave here, I'm going to spend a week in Washington, D.C. working and lobbying. And I'm going to be at Nancy Pelosi is giving a party for unequal pay day for women, and I'm going to be attending that. So I'm really excited about that. It'll be a lot of fun. But I lobby on a variety of issues for us, but I think that the most important thing that I lobby on is the RFRA, so the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, which is the most destructive thing I think we have. It's really a big part of, I think, destroying our democracy today, along with capitalism, rampant capitalism. Anyway, so I just wanted to say to you that, did you know that the faith-based organization, the World Vision Church, has been receiving millions of dollars in federal funds, our tax dollars, and they require all their U.S. employees to sign its Christian Statement of Faith and or their Apostles' Creed to work there because of RFRA. And they're using our money around the world to do that. And another thing to consider is that last summer, faith leaders sent a letter to the White House pushing for religious exemption from President Obama's proposed executive order banning federal contractors from discriminating against lesbians and gays in hiring, using RFRA as the basis of their letter. The Supreme Court, as we all know, used RFRA to rule that Hobby Lobby is allowed to deny women birth control in their health care plans. And they're starting to, it's becoming more and more evident they're moving away from just saying religious. They're now starting to use and have been using the word conscience, so that you can deny people because you don't have to say it's my religious belief. You can say because of my conscience. So it's really dangerous what's going on, and now we know that they're allowing corporations and businesses to have a conscience or to do religious refusal, which is just ridiculous. And you know that the Congress has introduced ideologically driven bills that would repeal the Affordable Health Care Act, eliminate Title X funding. They're not funding Planned Parenthood organizations around the country. They're trying to stop all of that. And we work in broad coalition against these things. And I want you to know that it's not just the Congress who is doing this. It's also the President of the United States. And RFRA originated with President Clinton in 1996, along with Ashcroft when he was a senator. And they did that so that they could show the United States bipartisanship in action. So we really got hurt by this bipartisan inaction piece. So that's all I'm going to say about that, but that is part of, I can't help myself. Senator Ted Cruz, who's running for president, is the incoming chair, he's the chair now of the Senate Judiciary Committee on the Constitution, Civil Rights, and Human Rights, and he has called for the continued push to dismantle public education, including the push for federally and state-funded private school vouchers, and he's calling it the top civil rights issue of our day. The ultimate goal, of course, is to financially starve the public school system by diverting taxpayers' funds to religious and private corporate-owned schools and ending diversity in the classroom. And I want to be clear about this. The big push on this to end diversity in the classroom has to do with race. It has to do with desegregation and resegregating. So that's a really important thing. And then, and the last thing I'm going to say on this, and you can slap me around if I say any more about this, but President Obama has put faith-based initiative offices in every single one of our state departments around the world last year. And they have a mission of, before they do anything in a country, they must consult with religious leadership to find out how that would affect the religions of those countries. So I think that this is something that we can't talk about enough. So, but I will. And then thirdly, a big way that we educate, and big important part of the ISHV is the Human Prospect, our journal, which you've heard a lot about. And last, I just want to talk about global affiliates, which is very, very important to us. Our global affiliates are around the world, Nigeria, Uganda, Russia, Romania, and these are people that we're working with them in their countries. They're trying to advance secular humanism. They want to instill our values. They want to end witch hunting. Do you know that in certain areas in Africa, they kill albino children for their parts? It's just horrible what's going on. And in Russia now, Valery Kovakin, who I think of as the father of secular humanism of Russia, is seriously considering leaving the country. It's getting so bad there. And there's so much money that United States religious organizations are sending around the world to build churches. And so there you have it. So global affiliates are really important to us. That's something that we do. When Paul died, he died in 2012, so we went through 2013 wondering what was going to happen to our funding, because we had so many people that funded the Institute because of Paul Kurtz and the work that he's done around the world. So in 2014, I took over as the president, and I started to do funding, and our funding did drop off. But I wrote for some funding to put on this symposium, which is how we're doing this. And I think that we've accomplished a lot in this last year. Human Prospect is up and running. You know, Human Prospect is now indexed, and it's available to universities and colleges around the world. It's now indexed internationally for research. So the articles are being used for research. So I think that we've accomplished a lot together, and our work makes a real difference. And we hope that with your partnership in the year ahead that we'll do much more. But we do need financial support now like never before. And I think that Stu has maybe passed around a pledge sheet. So this is a pledge sheet. Can you locate that on your table? I just wanted to go over it with you. This is something that we inherited from Paul. We always did this with Paul. So if you would support the Institute for Science and Human Values, if you gave us a gift of $1,000 for a year, that cost per month for a 36-month pledge would be $28. That cost per day would be 91 cents. If you donated $5,000 in a 36-month pledge, that would be $139 a month, or $4.57 per day. $10,000, $278, $9.13 for the day. $50,000, $1,389 a month, or $45 a day. Or $100,000, which we'd love to have. That would be $2,778 a month, or $91.32. So this is a pledge sheet, and you can see that you can put in that you want to donate money today, and then the balance of your payment would be so many years ahead. We can bill you quarterly or semi-annually or annually. If you'd like to give us a gift with securities, we're happy to have that. If your company matches, my cousin who was here last night, I found out that his company, Exxon, triples whatever donation he makes, so of course I'm going to be asking him. And then also, if you'd like to include ISHV in your estate plan, we'd be happy that you would do that too. So this is something that we hope that you'll consider doing. Also, on the back room, you'll find our brochure, and our brochure tells you some of the, the things that we're working on. And in it is also, if you wanted to make a donation today, or if you want to take this home, there are also envelopes. You can mail it in to us. And also, the Human Prospect application is here. So I want to thank you for your time and attention. I think that probably we should be done. And does it look like lunch is ready to go? Okay, so lunch for an hour. Thank you very much.